Hi, EarlyON families. Welcome to today's Rainbow Circle Time. Today, I would like to share with you infant activity ideas that are going to hopefully fill your child's day with some adventures and different activity. Let's begin without further ado. First activity idea that I have here for infants is called rainbow bubbles. Rainbow bubbles. And what we need for this activity is plastic bottles with caps. You'll need tempera paint. If you have more than one plastic bottle with a cap, then you'll need more than one color paint. So the example that they have here is that you have 3 plastic water bottles with caps. So then you'll have tempera paint in 3 different colors. We're going to also need bubble bath and duct tape. So if you have plastic bottles, tempera paint, bubble bath, and duct tape, then you can make these rainbow bubbles. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill each of the bubbles about halfway with water, even 3/4 full, but halfway is a very smart amount. You fill it halfway with water, and then you're going to put about 1 spoonful of paint and 1 spoonful of bubble bath. Bubble bath can also be substituted for dish soap. In addition to the water, the paint, and the dish soap and or bubble bath, you can also think about adding glitter to the solution as well. But once you have decided what's going inside the bottle, then you are going to glue the inside of each of the bottle caps, and then you're going to secure them tightly on the bottle. And what you want to do after the lid is tightly on is then secure it once again with duct tape, just in case the infant tries to mouth the bottle. We're not ingesting any water with dish soap or bubble bath solution. Even for babies that haven't started crawling yet, this rainbow bubble solution or this rainbow bubble activity is actually quite a good incentive for getting infants to crawl or to do tummy time. Again, once you have these bottles filled with the water, the paint, the solution, whether you're using dish detergent or bubble bath and glitter or any small knickknacks like that might float or sink in the water, might also be a good idea to put in these bottles. If you wanted to then further extend the bottles for slightly older children, then that's definitely advisable. You can include concepts in science of sinking and floating. In addition to using these bottles, filling them halfway is good, because then if you happen to so wish, the bottles can be used as a summertime activity. If you wanted to go ahead and freeze these bottles, there's enough room in each of these bottles to do so, just because you filled them up only halfway. So depending on how you want to use the rainbow bubble activity, then you can fill the bottle up accordingly. If you know that you're not going to freeze the bottle or change the temperature of the bottle activity or the solution itself inside the bottle, then you don't need to worry about leaving space for that to expand and happen. Singing with your infant or child. So we want to remember that music is one of the greatest tools that parents and people working with children or people who have children can do to bond with the infants and the children. And sometimes it's a good tool to use to calm babies and stimulate their minds, or simply stimulate them to move and be active. So using music. I've seen even Facebook videos and sometimes other viral videos, TikTok and what have you, of infants just even dancing along to someone's cell phone going off. So definitely a lot of infants are inspired and moved by music, and it's definitely a fun way to get them to be involved and to be active with you. Music can help create a more balanced and healthy child, both physically and emotionally. It can reinforce early language skills. Scientific studies show that music helps children develop logic abilities. We know that a sense of internal rhythm is very important to learning to read. We also know that music helps children to listen, focus, and pay attention. For example, children who can pick out the words in a song as part of an auditory stream have gained a very important skill. Music allows children to explore sounds with their voices and use instruments as tools, helping them to understand melodic direction, tempo, and rhythmic patterns. Learning to sing develops language, articulation, diction, and expression. And the best part of it is that it's fun, and almost anyone and everyone can do this. Even if you may be hard of hearing, even if you use sign language, incorporating that humming or instrumental music definitely is part of that enrichment musically for young children's lives and for young infants. Just remember, you don't have to have a fantastic singing voice to enjoy singing with your infant or child, and you don't have to have any musical talents. You can hum to your child, especially if music is not something that you might be passionate or find that you have a strength about, then incorporating it into different parts of your day is definitely advisable, whether you're humming while you do the laundry, whether you're singing along to a song in the car, whether you are trying to learn a new song. And even if you are making mistakes learning to sing that, showing that you're having fun singing, showing that you're having fun with words, showing that you are enjoying learning new songs is all beneficial to bonding with your infant. You don't have to be a perfect singer. You don't have to know the song perfectly. You don't even have to know the language of the songs you're singing perfectly, but it's about incorporating that rhythm or even that quality time with your young infant or child. This can improve, once again, literacy skills, cognitive development, things like that. Facial expression definitely would help promote a lot of facial expression. You can make funny games out of it by doing music and freeze games. You can freeze your face. You can make different expressions with your face and young infant, and your infant surely will enjoy those, especially if they're expressions that have a lot of repetition, make use of a lot of muscles in the face, having big open smiles, sticking your tongue out, even just the general peekaboo. Those kinds of actions will definitely be stimulating cognitive development in young infants as you are singing and doing musical activities with them. So singing anything from babies' lullabies, bedtime or nap time, and even if you don't like your voice, your baby will. Generally speaking, it's something that their brains are wired to and comforting. It's one of the important things in building attachment. It's important to have those moments, especially if you are making eye contact with your infant or child while you're singing, especially if you're giving them that attention. Once again, you don't need to know all the words of the song. You don't need to learn how to sing perfectly or have the perfect pitch, tone, or voice. Being able to have fun while you do it, being able to be consistent while you're singing is all that would make a difference in the infant's cognitive development and to reap the benefits of this activity. So definitely being able to use music and incorporate movement from a very early age is all very beneficial for young children. You can do that while you're driving around town, sing along to your radio, your favorite CD. It's not important the type of music you're singing. If you're singing along the radio, different kinds of music and styles of music is definitely welcomed. Different rhythm of music and different tempo and beats of music is going to cognitively affect your infant in different ways. So you can also see what kinds of music your infant likes. Maybe your infant will have a reaction when you're singing along to different kinds of music. Heck, they might even cry or laugh as you sing different kinds of music. So it's definitely a great bonding tool to learn to use. And once again, you don't need to have a perfect voice. You don't need to know all the words of the song. Make sure you're having fun while you're doing it. Make sure there's eye contact. If you haven't had the chance to be exposed to working with or having younger siblings or infants in the family with other relatives, it might be daunting to think about doing all these things with a young infant. So even just making the small commitment of every time my infant needs to be changed, I will sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Even if it's just starting with associating a song that you're going to sing or make up to sing, and using it as consistently as part of a routine or a transition, your child or infant's day. That's a great start, and it's great bonding. When I was working in the daycares and doing a lot of work one-on-one with infants, I often really like to sing while I was changing them. With some of the older infants, it's helpful to tell the infant what you're doing as you're doing it. So just giving the infant a sense of ownership with their bodies, and being able to use that as a segue to teach about consent at an early age is definitely very important. The thing that I'm very passionate about is having young children to know the names of their body parts, to know the correct names of their body parts. Penis, vagina, and very important for children and young children especially, to learn how to address those body parts, to know how to describe sensations of pain or hurt, especially if you know that the child is going to be leaving you for any length of time to receive any kind of care. If they're going to go into daycare and they're old enough to start speaking, that's definitely a great tool to empower your young child to have. For small infants, obviously, that's impossible. However, not too early to start. So even as you are changing them, you're describing their different body parts. I'm going to wipe your vagina now. Look, this is your penis. And creating the safety with your young infant or child to be able to talk about these parts openly without any shame, and to be able to ensure that they can learn that well and that they feel safe talking about it with you. I've heard a few horror stories where parents or caregivers have had nicknames for these parts of their children's body. The vagina becomes a cookie. They don't want to say vagina, so then the child learns to say cookie. Every time they go pee, they wipe their cookie, and this is a very bad example, because if anything does happen, for example, with a child, and they end up being mistreated by another adult, or they end up being abused in any way, shape, or form, even if they are able to speak, they're not given the correct tools to properly articulate what's going on or what's happening. But if they know the word for vagina, and that being a part of their body and where it is, if they know the word to describe the sensation of pain or hurt, and they're able to articulate that and not use these words in a playful or joking way, and you know what they're speaking about, that even just these two words alone can give a child a tool just to say, hey, you know, something's wrong with what's going on. So I find that very important. However, we must also learn to react appropriately to these words, right? When young children are learning new words, they are going to experiment with it. They are going to repeat it. They are going to say it in different ways. They are going to look at the reaction of different adults. If that reaction ends up being laughter, or it ends up being something extreme where others are maybe embarrassed, or they're told that it's not a good word to say, then it ends up being a confusing message to the young child. In addition to introducing these words and equipping your young child with the tools they need to describe any kind of abuse or anything that's going on, we must also want to make sure that the adults that are working with your child or in your child's life is on the same page, so that we don't have the parents using the correct language for these terms, but then another caregiver, for example, or family member, using nicknames and code words like cookie and wee wee and things like that. So very important to remember and to know that if at a very young age you're able to use these words and the description of their body parts to bond with them, and use the language in songs, and normalize the words, and be able to help your child understand their own body. And then with music, you're helping your child understand rhythm and feelings and promoting cognitive development. Before nap time, you can try some old favorite songs. Some favorites that we like to sing that we've actually ended up making more inclusive in the EarlyON program is, for example, we've taken the song This Old Man, and we don't particularly like to sing songs that are gendered. We want to be gender neutral. We want to be inclusive. So I've turned This Old Man into This Old Soul. This old soul, they turned one. They played knick-knack on my thumb with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone, give an animal a treat, and you're able to sing about different animals, but you're able to then take the gender out of the song and also sing it with your child, just for inclusivity's sake, or to be able to sing the song with other families and not end up singing the song in a repressed way. Or by repeating any kind of oppression or exclusion in any way. Another song that I'd like to have updated is Old MacDonald. So we want to show children that not all farmers are old, that not all farmers are MacDonald. I think that's a Scottish last name. I'm not sure about the origin of the name itself, but that not all farmers are white or pertain to a specific ethnicity or culture. So instead of Old MacDonald had a farm, had a zoo, had a jungle, we're gonna sing young child's name. Young Jerry had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. Young Jerry had a zoo, Scooby-Doo. And on that zoo, he had a, so you can use your child's pronoun, but we can stay away from Old MacDonald, and we can then incorporate the child's name. We can say, young Elizabeth had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. So that's another good example. Another song that comes to mind that singing to infants and making it more inclusive, the Bumblebee song. So using that song to teach empathy. So instead of, I know traditionally in the Bumblebee song, and the one that goes, I'm bringing home a baby bumblebee, that song, I generally, first of all, I don't sing about mommy or daddy being so proud of me. I say, won't my family be so proud of me? So then you're incorporating both or all different types of caregivers, even the ones that that are non-binary as well, instead of squishing the baby bumblebee. This part is very important. I don't like to promote that in the song that I sing, especially since we've learned that in the news bumblebees are becoming extinct, especially since we've learned that killing nature is not nice. There's no need to be squishing bumblebees or being afraid of them. So what I like to do is I like to sing about talking to my baby bumblebee. And then after we're talking to our baby bumblebee, the baby bumblebee then says, come, follow me. And then what happens in the next verse is you're turning into a baby bumblebee. We're learning about empathy. We're learning about taking on roles of compassion, taking on the other person's points and views that are there in the situation, right? So extending the song or even just using the verses of the song to kind of foreshadow these lessons or these kinds of concepts for a young child, right? Maybe when they're old enough, they'll ask, why do we talk to baby bumblebees? Why, and then you'd explain, well, remember how the baby bumblebee stung you and it hurt? Well, it's just like if a friend at school hurts us, or if a friend at daycare hurts us or bites us, we don't want to squish that. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to hit them. We want to talk to them. So being able to use songs and just singing them a little differently can help you build the segue to talk about problem solving, talk about behavior with your young child, even at a young age. Even if they don't ask, being able to articulate that as you sing the song and say it like it's part of the song or finger play or story, making that fun, making that engaging for your young infant. And I'm all for that. Music is a huge part of any young infant's life. So we've talked about bottles with colors and different things like that. So the young children can learn about rhythm and colors and see the bottles being shaken up if you have pent-up glitter or any toy inside. We talked about how to modify the bubble activity, the bottle bubble activity, so that it can be also a sensory toy in the summer if you end up freezing it. Just make sure whatever goes inside the water bottle is sealed by putting glue in the cap before you close the cap to the bottle, and also by wrapping it in duct tape, because as we know, infants like to mouth a lot of objects and the toys that they're playing with. So we have to be very, very, very mindful of that. We have to be very, very careful of anything that can come out, leak into the child's mouth, because right away they're ingesting tempera paint. I believe they have non-toxic tempera paint, and we're looking at if you're adding dish soap or a bubble bath as suggested in the activity. Let's look for a child-friendly bubble bath or a dish soap that's non-toxic, as in addition to securing and fastening the lid to the bottles really, really well, first with glue and then with duct tape. Music can be extended into a lot of different activities in a lot of different ways. So, you can do music, like I said, as part of the routine in the day. If you find singing too daunting, once again, if you haven't had experiences with any infants and your infant happens to be the first infant you've ever had experience with, now that you have a baby, what does that mean? What does the singing do? Choosing a particular routine or time in the day. Okay, well, every time before I put the child to sleep, I'm going to sing these songs and help them get ready and learn that this is time to sleep, whether it's nap time or bedtime. Whether I'm going to sing some songs that are different at nap time and different from bedtime songs I'm singing. Whether nap time is just 2 songs and a little bit of rocking and a quick bottle and down we go for nap, and bedtime happens to be 2 songs and a story and a bottle before bedtime. What I would suggest is, if your infant is teething, if there are teeth, or even just with their gums, I want parents to develop a good habit if they are bottle feeding their infant any formula or breast milk before bed, that they also get into the habit of using a damp washcloth over the index finger and rubbing the young infant's gums afterwards. And then when they start teething, to rub their gums in their teeth, just a precursor to them learning that is the appropriate time to brush their teeth. We'd like to focus on oral health in young infants, because having healthy gums is what's going to give the foundation for healthy teeth, for healthy spaces for the teeth to come in when they start teething, and also a healthy foundation for when they lose their baby teeth and for adult teeth to come in. I find that because a lot of parents are new parents and a lot of infants may be fussy or may really, really find a lot of comfort with the bottle, that parents might forget that after giving the bottle to the young infant and having them go off to bed, that they fall asleep with the bottle, they don't remember to clean the gums and the teeth. So a reminder that's really important, part of the routine as well. But once again, going back to music, you can use music as a part of tummy time to encourage movement. You can show this by waving your arms, acting really excited while you're singing, and kind of inspiring that that energy in your young infant as well. Also, music with a mirror. Your young infant would really be interested in looking in their own reflection and in the reflection of what's around them. That's a really fun thing to do. I would suggest that you would be holding the mirror, or have a mirror has a plastic frame and is child friendly, so that if your child does decide to hold it, bang it, squeeze it, wave it, put it in their mouth, it's not going to be dangerous. There are a lot of infant toys that do mimic mirrors without an actual mirror. They've got that reflective surface on it that looks like a mirror. using materials like that definitely encourages a lot of cognitive development with young infants and babies. If you're able to hold an actual mirror in front of you and your young infant as you're singing songs and making faces, um, then definitely you can use a real mirror and see very clearly what the expressions are that the young infant is making and trying to mimic. Facing a mirror, prop your child into a seated position and sit behind them so you are supporting them, and then you can sing and follow follow a song that's on the radio or CD, and try to be animated and as animated as possible with your facial expressions. You can use their move their limbs and make them dance while they're in front of the mirror. I'd like to just take this as a reminder to remind all of you that on our 519 YouTube channel, we've got a lot of great music circles and story time, and we've got a lot of great songs and song ideas that you can sing. And we're coming out with content Tuesday through Saturday every week.